everyone, it's Liz Miller with ERA First Advantage Real Estate and the More with Miller team. And today I'd like to take just a few minutes and give you a few tidbits of information that I think are important when you are considering purchasing a repossessed home. Repossessions are quite a bit different than your typical sell and purchase, and because of that it can be a little bit convoluted and a little bit anxiety ridden. So here are just a few things that you should know. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but it'll give you enough to let you know that you need to ask questions of your real estate professional when considering entering into a purchase agreement with a repossession and a bank. So first things first is repossessed homes are generally sold in as-is condition. What that means to you as the buyer is that in some instances they will allow you to have inspections, but those inspections are not negotiated after the fact. So in a typical situation where you're buying from a private seller, you would have inspections done and then you'd be able to negotiate repairs based on those inspections, and the seller would generally fix some of the defects that come up. With a repossessed home, you're dealing with a bank. And part of the reason that you're getting such a great deal on that home is because they aren't willing to make any modifications or repairs after your inspection. So it's a trade-off. You're getting a low purchase point because there are repairs needed. The bank knows that and they're not willing to do it. So first things first, it's as is. Almost always. I don't think I've ever seen one where they've done repairs. So the second thing is that because there are no repairs, often your financing plays a really big key into whether or not you can put in an offer on a repossessed home. So in the situation where you're considering using an FHA, a VA, or a USDA loan, those loans are federally backed and therefore have a set of criteria that the home has to meet. They're called minimum housing requirements. For instance, one of the big ones that comes up a lot is peeling paint. The house can't have any peeling paint. If it does, then the sellers are supposed to scrape it and repaint it. In the situation where you're purchasing from from a bank on a repossessed home, since they won't make any modifications or repairs, you probably can't use an FHA, VA, or USDA loan. Now, I said probably because there are some repossessed homes that will meet those minimum housing requirements and you can proceed as normal. But just know that if it is a repossessed home that needs a lot of work, chances are you're not going to be able to use one of those three loan types. Another biggie is that timeline that normally takes place in a transaction is generally modified because it is a bank repossession. In a normal situation, as a buyer, you're going to write a purchase agreement or an offer, and you're going to indicate when you'd like the seller to make a response to your initial offer. So, in this kind of market, we've been doing anywhere from 12 to 24 hours if it's a private seller. When you're dealing with a bank or a lender that's taken a house back, we are very much dealing with their timelines. So it's like any other company. It generally has to go through the ranks and get approval, and several people get involved to come back with a counter or a negotiation or even an acceptance. So know that your timeline is definitely going to be skewed. Because it's a bank, these people are not going to negotiate an offer after hours or on the weekend. So if you turn in an offer on Friday afternoon and you're expecting a response back on Saturday or Sunday, it's not going to happen. Truth of the matter is, a lot of times it takes them 3, 4, 5 days to get back to an offer that has been submitted. So know that those timelines are very much in the bank's hands. So the other one that's generally affected is if they will allow inspections. Typically, if you're dealing with a private seller, we write in you have 14 days to get your inspector, get him out to the house, get his or her report back, and return a formal response to the seller. If the bank or lender allows you to do inspections on a on a repossessed home, though that timeline, that window of opportunity for actually having those inspections done are drastically reduced. It could be anywhere from 5 to 10 days. So not generally your typical 14 days. So anyway, those are just a few of the items that I feel it's important that you know about when you're considering entering into a purchase agreement or a transaction on a repossessed home. If you know that things are not generally the same, then you have an opportunity to do right by yourself and make good choices. So now you know. If you have any further questions, like I said, that is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other things that are written into the language and the purchase agreement and amendments, etc., that I can gladly tell you about. But for brevity's sake, I will leave those details to a phone call. So if you'd like to find out more, feel free to give me a shout. You can shoot me a text or pick up the phone, 812-568-0088.